said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief, I think, was about 10 years.
You were giving the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is, you told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban. And you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish?
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If that short clip doesn't perfectly sum up the entire gun control debate in Washington right now, I don't know what does. We just watched Senator John Kennedy do what he does best, using absolute, undeniable common sense to cut through the noise. He is questioning a Biden judicial nominee, Nancy Maldonado, who wants a lifetime appointment to the federal bench. This isn't just a regular job interview. This is for a position where she will interpret the U.S. Constitution for the rest of her life. And yet, when confronted with a legal brief she personally signed trying to strip away Second Amendment rights, she can't even define the term she used. It's mind-blowing. We're going to roll the full, uninterrupted exchange in just a second so you can see the whole masterclass unfold. But before we dive into the full clip, do me a huge favor. If you believe in defending the Second Amendment and you love seeing accountability in Washington, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel out. All right, let's roll the tape and see how this plays out.
When you were a partner in your law firm, you volunteered to write a brief on behalf of the Brady Center. You wrote the brief, and this is what you said. You volunteered for this. You weren't being paid. Is that right?
This was a pro bono case that one of my partners brought in, yes.
You said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Just to clarify there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme...
Yeah, but you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by...
You signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
When you sign a brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy. Okay. I would never sign...
Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief, I think, was about 10 years...
You were giving the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is... You told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban.
Senator, sitting here today, as I said, I did not write that brief. I was local counsel.
Sign the brief.
I understand. At the time...
Tell me what you wanted to ban. That's all I want to know, Judge.
I don't remember the exact definition of assault weapons in the ordinance that was at issue.
So you submitted a brief to an appellate brief. You signed it, and you don't know what... And you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish?
Senator, at the time that I signed the brief, I read the brief because our Supreme Court required an Illinois bar member to sign the brief. I was not responsible for researching the content.
You were responsible for the brief.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sitting here today, I do not remember the characteristics of that were cited in the ordinance for the assault weapons ban. It's not an area of practice that I have specialized in. I'm sure 10 years ago I could have answered your question.
And
but sitting here today,
you think you deserve to be promoted with this record?
Senator, I stand by my record. I stand by my record.
Senator Butler.
Wow, just wow. Watching the whole thing uninterrupted makes it even more staggering. Senator Kennedy didn't raise his voice, he didn't grandstand, and he didn't lean on cheap political theater. He just asked one fundamentally fair question over and over again. If you want to ban it, what is it? Let's break down why Kennedy's approach here is so brilliant and why the nominee's responses are so deeply concerning for anyone who cares about constitutional governance. First, notice her immediate defense mechanism. I am not a gun expert. That right, there is the entire anti-gun playbook exposed under oath. For years, we've seen politicians and activists push sweeping legislation based on scary-sounding buzzwords like assault weapon without having any baseline understanding of the mechanics, calibers, or functions of actual firearms. Kennedy exposed that beautifully. If you aren't an expert and you don't even understand the mechanics of what you're trying to outlaw, why are you signing your name to a document advising the courts to restrict the rights of millions of law-abiding citizens? But then it gets worse. When Kennedy brings the receipts and points out that her name is physically on the brief, she tries to pass the buck by saying she was just local counsel and didn't actually write the words. Anyone who understands how the legal system works knows how weak that excuse is. As Kennedy correctly points out, when a lawyer signs a legal brief submitted to a court, they're legally attesting that everything inside it is true, accurate, and fully vetted. You can't attach your name and reputation to a high-profile effort to restrict a constitutional right and then claim amnesia or play the "I just signed the paperwork" card when you're called out on it. The final deflection she tries is the timeline, saying this happened 10 years ago. But as American political enthusiasts, we know that the Bill of Rights doesn't have an expiration date. Basic reading comprehension and legal responsibility don't expire after a decade. If you can't remember the legal criteria or the definitions used in a major constitutional brief you endorsed, how can the American public trust you to carefully read the fine print on complex federal cases for the next 30 or 40 years? What John Kennedy did here wasn't just a political takedown. It was a necessary defense of the Constitution. He forced a lifetime nominee to face the reality of her own record, and she completely crumbled because she didn't have the facts to back up the rhetoric. I want to know what you guys think about this exchange. Drop a comment below. Did Kennedy handle this the right way? Or do you think the nominee's excuses hold any water? Let's get a discussion going, keep it respectful, and I'll catch you all in the next video.